Welcome to the next installment of the Champions Podcast with myself, Champ Squires,
Heather McCoy.
and so today we're going to take a totally different spin on things, kind of both in line with something that I'm kind of working through right now and kind of where I see things are in our world and in our society. And that is the topic of why do bad things happen to good people? Um,
And I
I
think
think that's
that's
one of
something
the,
that a lot of people struggle with too.
and that's something that we've heard, I think, a lot in our life. We've heard it a lot in our society. We've heard it a lot through life. That, like, why, if I try to be good, but yet bad still happens, why is that? Why is that, Heather?
I don't know that I have the answer to why, but I know through my own experience, like obviously, and people have asked me this, or maybe I've heard it where they'll say, and maybe they're not on the same level with their faith, and that's okay, but it's almost like, well, why, if God is so good, would he allow you to have to struggle so much and go through all this? And I get that's a valid question. However, I guess like obviously God is not purposely making you suffer in any way that something in your life has happened. I don't want people to think that that's what I'm saying is that that was intended. But I think that I personally use everything I have gone through and go through as, what is this teaching me?
Mm.
So even though I think, okay, I am patient, okay, I am trusting in the Lord, okay, I am a good, faithful servant, I am, you start listing all of what you are, but all of us fall short of the glory. And so I think, like, even me waiting for organs, that is one of the hardest things you can do. But what was he teaching me during that? To be patient, to trust his timing, to trust not to count him out. And so I think through our challenges and our struggles, we stumble upon strength that we didn't know we had. Maybe it took that for us to recognize our strengths. Maybe it helps us so that we can face the next challenge in a better way, a stronger way. So I think in my perspective, that's probably where I see that. Now, I'm not saying obviously, like I said, you were meant to have these kind of struggles because everybody has them on a different level. But I think sometimes just seeing, how can I put one step in front of the other? And how can I learn from this to even improve my life going forward?
Do you think, and I want to be very careful and not put this strictly from a Christian perspective
Mhm.
for those that watch it and may not come at life with that perspective. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna hide it because I can't. And so I'm probably not, and not that you're hiding it, but you probably understand it better from a deeper perspective in the other way, than I do because you've done, I've done ministry, and so that's kind of that's my reason, that's my life, that's who I am, that's what I do. But should we expect only good in this life and not difficulty? Um, I have someone doing some work around the house, and you may hear this person come in and out. And it was interesting because this person said to me this morning that, you know, we can go through life and not have had to deal with challenges or difficulty or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, those of us are those who haven't, when they get to their mountaintop experience, they get up there kind of empty, alone. Whereas those of us who have gone through those difficult experiences or had to kind of walk in a life with God, with faith, that's what we've known. And so, and we've also not only had God, but we've had those people that have walked those roads with us. And so, why not expect hard? Why not expect difficulty?
And I think it changes the people's perspective I always say if we had it good all the time, and you'll hear me say that all the if we had it good all the time, we wouldn't be the people we are today. And that's because every little thing we go through shapes us in some way. And you mentioned about even challenges and coming at it from someone that's not just sitting here spewing out the gospel 24/7. Like you said, we're not going to hide it, but there are so many people that feel alone. And as you know this, I recently lost a friend in an unexpected way. And he was a wonderful person and he shared a lot with me. And so I knew that he struggled in many ways. I did. And just for the sake of privacy, I don't really want to say his name publicly, but you could always go to my Facebook or something and see my little tribute post to him. But it's hard for me to understand sometimes because I'm such a fighter. I'm such, okay, well, this shoe dropped today, but I'm going to keep going. And I guess I'm so used to weathering the storms. And it doesn't mean that someone's less strong. It really doesn't. Everybody just handles things so differently and sees things so differently and feels things so differently. And I look back at when I reflected on if I had called that day, would it have changed the outcome? I don't think so. I think that that person felt so isolated. I don't want to say all the business on here, but maybe they didn't feel the love and kind of what we feel of appreciated and valued and the circle of people around us. And not that they didn't have anyone, but it was just they were at that point in their life. And it's hard for me to understand, but I also said I can't judge it either because I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to not be alone, to feel like, because I've always had love and support and encouragement, and they knew God, but sometimes I have to say to myself, that was an unexpected way for them to get healing, but maybe that is what God intended for them to heal. Maybe what lied ahead was worse than what anyone could imagine, and that was his way of healing him. And so it sounds really crazy to say because I'll miss him, but I have a peace around that to say they're with God and they have the ultimate healing. They don't have to feel the pains of this world anymore. And so I like that you brought up challenges and how some people may not have the approach we do. And I think the more that I've gone through life and seen people that come from all walks of life, that everyone deals with things differently. And sometimes you do just have to take a step back and say, okay, I can encourage this person, but they're not going to think exactly how I do. They're not going to feel exactly how I do.
And I'll just give a point of self-disclosure that I struggle in those areas a lot um because I don't know why you wouldn't want to, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the kind of person I don't know why you wouldn't want to live life or think in the terms of maybe joy
Yeah.
or peace, or like why you wouldn't want to be just solidly assured that whatever's going on around you, it's going to be okay. And it doesn't matter how high the shoe drops from the bottom. What matters is what we do with our responses. And
And
it's
I've said that a lot of times. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond.
and I just wish that more people saw it that way, because I don't understand. I guess, and we can never flip the script, right? We can never share or flip the journey that each one of us has walked. Um, but I go back, and then, this makes me think about going back to other episodes.
Mhm.
Mom, when she used to tell us, and still does, this too shall pass. Your worst day, the worst day of your life is not the worst day of your life. The worst day of your life, there is a better day that's going to come. And just because right now, in this moment, at this point, is incredibly difficult, doesn't mean that something more isn't coming. And God doesn't have a plan. And I said we weren't going to talk about it, but I think God, like, you have to know there's somebody in charge that's above you, that's in us, that's grander than we are. Because if you don't know that, then all of the things that happen just seem to be these little pockets of events. But
Mhm.
when you see it from a grander scale, it's like looking from a plane that has turbulence. I heard this morning, actually. So um, I heard a little story from Priscilla Shire. Some of you have heard her stuff or listened to some of her Bible studies, and she said that her son was going, he was with a basketball team that he was playing with, and they were going to another part of the country to play another team. And he goes on this plane, and this plane like experiences a lot of turbulence. And so when he gets done on that plane ride, he catches the captain, or the captain of the plane, or the pilot, and says, the captain, Lord, I'm really crazy. The pilot, and says, did the turbulence not scare you? And the pilot's response is, I could see above all of this. Like, yes, I felt it with you, but I had some greater perspective. I had a greater lens, a wider view, than you did, or than you think you did. And so, like, I guess if anything, what I would like to throw from this one is just to say that, like, wherever you are in your challenge, in your whatever victim or whatever victim or challenge you're facing, or whatever you're a victim because of, there is something greater, and there's a grander view, and it's hard, and it may be of caused of responses or repercussions or all this thing, but you can make the best of any circumstance.
It is.
um
And sometimes it feels like, depending on what it is, oh my gosh, I just want this to end today. Like, when is the storm letting up? And I know I've felt that even with like my transplants. I can remember my second double lung transplant, which I'm 6 years out on the 18th, which is awesome. I can remember I had such a hard time with complications recovering. And I remember it was such a tough day. And a nurse, and I still remember, I do not remember her name, which I should have, but I remember what she said still to this day, clear. She said, Heather, today is hard and it's okay, but you will get out of this hospital and you will get back to the things that you enjoy. And obviously, I believed it, but it was such a hard day that I was just like, why can't it just get better tomorrow? But day by day by day came, And 2 months later, I walked out of the hospital. And then time passed again. And then I was back doing this. And then I was back doing that. And so sometimes it does seem like, the rain just won't let up. It does. And I empathize with people on that because it is hard. It is hard to just feel like you're drowning. But at the same time, I think if you can just find one thing to say, I have so much to live for, that I think it can pull you out of some of the darkest days. And for me, yes, my faith does that. But personally, when I look at stuff, I start naming off. I have this to live for. I have this to live for. I have this to live for. I have this joy. Yes, this sucks today, but I have this. I have this. I have this. And I know some people struggle even naming off things, but I can promise you, when you look around, there's always something to be grateful for. And so I think Champ and I just want people to know that it's okay to struggle. It's okay to have those challenges.
And I want you to. I do.
Yeah, yeah.
I like I'm the weirdo. I want people to struggle. I do. I want people to be pushed. I want people to push me. I want all of those things. And I can say I want it because I know, when I get back and look back over the course of my life, I can see like this stepping stone, even if it was difficult, was preparing me for this. And this is preparing me for the next thing. Prime example, right now, I don't know if you can tell, these cabinets or this bookshelf back behind me looks a little cleared. And I've had a contractor in the house for the last 2 days. Wonderful, wonderful Christian guy. Just doing some work for the church, for the house, and it's just, and this has been a hard week just with different things that have gone on and different people in the congregation that are struggling or what the case may be. And but having him here in the midst of this chaos, both physically behind me and just around, where we are, it's like God had a plan for all of this. Like none of this caught him by surprise. None of what's going on in here with me catches him by surprise. And he puts things in our story to help us prepare for the next thing. And so that's just kind of the hope that I hope to give you today, or we hope to give you today, is like wherever you find yourself, whether it's in a hospital room, in a hospital waiting room, in a car going somewhere, but you feel like the rest of your world is falling apart, there's always hope. And maybe all you have to do, or all you got to do, or all you need to do is take a step back, look at the bigger picture, and say, what do I have to live for? And you'll find it if you just ask that. So
And if we don't have hope, we really don't have anything.
if we don't have hope, we don't have purpose. If we don't
Mm.
have hope, we don't have purpose. So with that, we want to say thank everybody for joining us today.
And check out
Um,
my new music that's coming out on the 16th on all of the platforms. You can look up
there
my
you
name.
go.
There's some Christian songs on there, and I hope you will feel encouraged and feel hope by those. And we hope you will continue to just keep moving forward and to know that this year can be a great year. Make, like Champ said, make the most out of every day. And we hope y'all enjoyed this episode and can feel relatable to that everybody struggles and everybody has to learn how to move forward. And we will continue to pray for y'all to have a wonderful 2026. And God bless.